This is my gasoline storage bin. That thing cleaned up really nice. Very nice. It's white again, just like when I bought it. So inside here we store gasoline for off-road. Even though my truck has a second gas tank, if I plan on being out in the wilderness for a while, I'll take all these with me too. And I just pressure washed all these, just fill them up with new fuel. I don't want to keep fuel for that long because it does deteriorate over time. You're pretty good if it's 6 months or a year. I don't push it that far. I try to circulate it once every 6 months. Like I used to circulate this every other week at least before I had the second gas tank on the truck, but now this rarely ever goes out. But I had to pressure wash those, not because they're dirty from dirt or anything, but I don't know if it's the gasoline fumes. It attracts slugs. Slugs get into this enclosure. That's what all the grime is inside here. It's their slime. Stuff sticks to it. There was little poops all over this. Same thing whenever I went off-road. I'd put these outside to sleep, and they'd be covered in slug poop in the morning. Don't know why that is. Slugs seem to be attracted to fuel. I know a lot of insects are attracted to fuel. Certain spiders are attracted to fuel. Don't know why. They just like huffing that stuff. But they cleaned up really nicely. It's been raining all day. I don't personally think it's that chilly. I'm wearing a hoodie, and when it gets wet, it kind of acts like a wetsuit because your body warms it up, especially if you're moving around doing stuff in the rain. It's not that warm today. The high temperature is 45. It's been drizzling all day, which is awesome. I love washing the truck when it's rainy like this because when it's sunny, you got to wash one side of it, spray it off, or it hardens the soap right on it. It dries up too fast. But when it's drizzling or cloudy, that's when I prefer to wash up, because then you can do the whole thing at once. Then you don't even have to usually rinse it because it's raining out. The stream is running a little bit dirty because of the logging roads. The sediment comes down here. It'll run clean a few hours after it stops raining. Got a good whirlpool right there at the spillway. So the reason I have that tank or that white box instead of just keeping it in my garage, because it's for insurance reasons. I'm not allowed to keep that amount of fuel. It's considered dangerous keeping that inside the house. So I have that little enclosure outside. It can store up to 8 of those cans if I wanted. I found this hand soap. I had this about 3 years ago, back before I had working water in my house. I used to wash my hands at the stream, and one day this thing flooded over this bridge, stole it. A hike downstream, I found it after 3 years. But it's sealed, and I can use it. It's still soapy, but I'm pretty sure it's very watered down. The river got in there somehow. And I don't believe the soap used to be that brownish color either. It still works. It still suds up your hands, I guess. Lots of signs of spring. Every tree has little leaves starting. It's the first week of May. My climate zone is considered safe for growing June 1st. Almost another month. Right here we got the maple trees opening. The tiny wild lily of the valleys coming up everywhere. They're much smaller ones than the ones you buy at the store. My ferns, some of them never even died. They stayed green all winter. But are those starting to come up? This entire area of the yard is ferns. Let's look in there. Oh, yep, this is ferns. Last year we had a very late frost. I remember all the ferns turning black overnight. We had a late hit. May 26th, we had a freeze last year. That was a late one. And that's why they say June 1st for growing season, just to be safe. The hosta plants all turned black, but they bounced back fast. The ferns had a rough year. They didn't bounce back. Hopefully they have a better year. Hopefully we don't have another frost. Hopefully it's over this early. Even on cloudy days, these smaller sprinklers, they'll be turning on and off, but they're usually running. You see one of them shut off. Maybe it's because I'm standing in front of the panel, taking away a little bit more of its light. I guess not, but those are at least running the majority of the day. See, they turn on and off here and there. The tadpoles grow fast when they're small. They're no longer the size of mosquito larvae. They're starting to get a little bigger. Gonna have to start throwing food in there. I tried feeding them a few days ago. You see there's still fish flakes in there. For some reason they don't really want to eat. So I wonder how they're growing. They never eat what I feed them at this stage. It takes them a few weeks after hatching to really be hungry. Don't know why that is. Right here, these are fire bushes, the things that are already pretty filled in. Those have beautiful, the first frost that hits them in the fall, they turn bright red, orange. They're beautiful. Today I had to do some power washing, couldn't let it stay. Sometimes I'll just drive around with a muddy truck for a while. Couldn't do it today. I got stuck and I bottomed out, had to use the winch in a mud pit filled with moose poop. Smelled like a farm driving around for the past 2 days. Could even smell it inside. To be safe, I'm probably gonna wait on the garden another 2 or 3 weeks. I plan on turning over all the soil. This year, we're gonna try a different idea. So over here, I use this weed liner. Stops weeds from growing. I use the torch to burn holes for the tomato plants. Worked out good. It allows water in, but it also allows evaporation. So this year, I'm gonna try a new method I was taught. So I'm gonna till this whole thing, tear this up, throw it out, take all the logs out. Then we're gonna put a new liner in, put the logs back around it, but we're gonna very well water it before we put down a liner. We're gonna put a liner down that doesn't allow water in. That way under the ground stays damp all the time. We're gonna give that a try this year. See how that will work. If anyone has any ideas in my comments about that before we actually do it, I'm curious to know your opinion on it. I've seen that work good for other people. So during drought, it stays moist under there because it literally can't evaporate except around the little holes you cut. It keeps the majority of the garden wet. If it stays wet, it means lots of earthworms coming in there. And let's see over here. I'm not planting a tomato plant, not planting anything near the woods again. We have too many slugs. It's hard enough to keep them out of this garden. I got to keep using slug pellets. Slug pellets are an environmentally friendly thing. I think it's called iron sulfate, the main ingredient. It makes slugs and snails, doesn't affect anything else but mollusks. Doesn't affect insects, nothing. Supposedly it says wildlife can even eat it. It looks like little noodles. All it does is makes those specific kind of creatures, makes them not hungry and they starve to death. So over here, look at this. I had a lot of comments about this. It survived the winter and it's starting to come up. A lot of people told me asparagus needed a few years to get thicker and more hardy for it could survive the winter. It survived the first winter and we got hard winters. This winter wasn't as cold as they often are, but we still had a handful of negative 20-degree days. The year before we had negative 38 Fahrenheit, and that's basically the same in Celsius when you get to those numbers, and was not as cold as of a winter, but still it survived. Some people thought it would take a few years to harden up. That's why I have this pot outside. I brought another pot of it in my house and it's flourishing, except in the past month inside the house it started somehow getting aphids out of nowhere. So I had to bring it outside, spray it with 7 chemical and bring it back in, and it killed them all. So that's surviving. I'm happy about that. That means, look, we already got baby slugs everywhere. Those things are gonna grow fast. Last year, slugs 4 inches long, hundreds of them in the yard. I was showing in one video this everywhere. They just attack the gardens. I tried growing an organic garden separate from this one. Killed everything. The all-natural supposed chemicals don't work for the insects, at least. But that chemical I am using is natural and considered organic. That does kill the slugs off. I just ordered a bunch of mosquito dunks. I remember, it mustn't have been mosquito dunks. When I was little, my dad would put something in ponds. He told me it made a little oily layer, depriving it of oxygen, so things like mosquito larvae couldn't live in there. And it didn't affect any other animals. But actual mosquito dunks are biological. It only kills mosquitoes. Doesn't supposedly kill any other wildlife. But I'm going to do my research on that, because does it kill things similar to mosquitoes? Because I love the water skimmers. Those things are territorial and will kill the mosquitoes. Even if they're not hungry, they'll kill the mosquito. If they are hungry, they'll eat the mosquito. Out here in the woods, it's about to be a blanket of lily of the valleys and ferns, the whole woods here. Give it a few more weeks. The moss is starting to pop. lily of the valley, everywhere starting to come up. I made this into like a flower pot, planted ferns. They didn't come up, but naturally started growing. That's a raspberry plant. It's nice and rainy. This seasonal stream is starting to go again. Seasonal stream is what you can call a drainage ditch. It'll run during the wetter times. Haven't seen the bear yet this year, which is a surprise, but he was a menace in the trash can, so we had to start putting ammonia. We didn't see him again. So maybe without food, it just decided not to come back this year. It just started pouring. Or is that the wind? Might just be the wind. Well, growing season's off to a good start. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.